Chapter 21. Hunter or Prey. Lulled by the car's humming AC, Arya stares out at the ruins of the cement factory. The scavengers of the past did their job well. The buildings are stripped of every piece of metal, wood, or carbon. Arya feels uneasy sitting idly in the dark, only hearing the breathing sounds of her friends around her. She shifts her weight and sighs.
It's been over an hour.
Give them more time.
Raylan says.
It's a long walk.
Suddenly, Evren's arm clip vibrates. She quickly taps her display to read another message from Jepedia.
Something went wrong. Shots fired. Prists are in on their way back with 2 bikes. No pursuit.
Scanning the surroundings outside, Evren hesitates for a moment before whispering the next line.
No confirmation, but ambush probable by ATC. Be very careful.
What?
Arya cries out, jolting upright. Her fingers claw into the leather cushion, fighting her instinctive urge to run away.
Sit tight.
Raylan orders them with quiet authority. Gazing out of the night vision windows, he slides his hand under his jacket, retrieving his stun gun. Taryn also draws her gun and hunches down in the front seat, gun in hand.
Why? How?
Arya whispers, expecting the whole ATC to crash down on their position. Evren nods slowly and turns to Arya.
I bet it was Pico's idea.
Evren says, smiling weakly. Upon Arya's frown, she explains,
It's only logical. Winslow needs us as scapegoats and he knows we're coming. Placing agents in nearby towns seems a small price to pay. We should have been more careful.
Evren muses over their wrong decisions in the past.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda. There was no time to plan. You know that.
Raylan lashes back at Evren in frustration. Arya flinches at his sudden outbreak and rests her hand on Raylan's knee.
It's okay.
She softly responds.
We'll find a way.
Her words also find their way past Raylan's anger, and he lets himself fall back into the cushion with a deep breath.
I'm sorry, Ev.
He apologizes.
I didn't mean it.
Yeah, I know.
Evren shrugs.
But hey, we're getting good at improvising. They haven't caught us yet.
Evren gives Raylan a youthful smile, and he replies with a short laugh. Raising her hand in the air, Taryn interrupts them.
Listen.
The high-pitched whine and whistle of bike turbines echo through the night. In the distance, 2 motorbikes shoot around the corner of the limestone road and accelerate toward them. Taryn dons her night vision goggles and opens the door. She takes cover behind the Cherok's hood, aiming at the incoming bike riders. Before Raylan exits the car, he tells Arya and Evren,
Stay inside.
Taking cover behind the trunk, he takes aim at the motorbikes bearing down on them. Through his night vision goggles, he makes out the broad-chested figure of Pris punching down over the handlebar of her bike. Relieved to see Pris and Saren return, Raylan breaks his cover with a big grin. With hooting sounds, the bike's energy converters use the braking energy to recharge the batteries as the bikes come to a stop. The whine of the bike turbines dies off, but a faint echo of the hooting sounds resonates in the distance. Alarmed Saren looks behind her into the night, but then Taryn's embrace distracts her from further investigating.
Good to have you back.
Taryn smiles and kisses her. Raylan briefly joins their embrace, but then turns to Pris.
You had problems? Jepedia messaged us to prepare for an ambush.
We all have problems.
Pris replies gruffly and gets off the bike. Looking around nervously, she spits out.
These bastards had an arm clip. Winslow knows we're here. We've got to move.
Determinedly, she strides toward the rear of the Cherok's, as Arya and Evren both leave the car to join the group.
Ray told you about Jepedia's message.
Evren asks Pris, who rummages in the trunk of the car.
Didn't have to.
Pris replies shortly and stems another missile into the launcher.
So, what do we do now?
Arya asks hesitantly.
Get the hells out of here and stay on the move.
Pris suggests, closing the trunk. Walking toward Pris's bike, Raylan nods and looks at his friends.
Saren and I will take the bikes up to the satellite dish,
He says.
Pris, you'll have to dodge any contact. And
Raylan touches his neck, as if bitten by a mosquito. Pris also flinches and grabs her arm.
what the...
Unconscious, Raylan sinks to the ground. In quick succession, they all cry out as they feel a sting on their necks, arms, or legs.
Take cover!
Pris calls out before falling to the hard gravel. Muffled sounds of a casual conversation reach Arya's ears through the high-pitched ringing noise that seems to fill her whole head.
I told you, they'll take the one closest to Deshama, right?
A crow voice sounds.
Yup.
Another crow voice shortly answers.
Brother, this will set us up for good. No more enforcer crap. No more bounty hunting for small change. Yup. Let's get 'em fixed up. The landlady will be here soon, right? Yup.
Arya tries to move, and a sharp pain shoots into the back of her head. Wincing, she closes her eyes tightly and waits for the pain to ebb away.
Well, hello there, little beauty.
The talkative crow's voice sounds near her head. The smell of leather and acrid turbine grease overwhelms Arya as the crow roughly turns her on her back. Opening her eyes, she stares into the haggard face of an older crow, devouring the young Ama with his hazy eyes. Arya tries to stand up, but her arms and legs are tightly cuffed with carbon chains.
Easy, baby. Easy.
The crow warns her.
Don't squirm. I don't like that, right?
The crow says, putting his foot on her arm. Arya is in a state of shock. Staring at the crow incomprehensively, she is unable to make anything of what is happening. She cannot even speak. Only the pain in her arm and the splitting headache remind her that this is no dream. The crow shoulders his scoped hunting rifle and looks up. Another crow comes into Arya's field of view, younger than his brother. He features the same haggard face and drooping eyes. Looking her up and down, he states shortly,
Nice Ama.
The older crow grabs Arya's arm, dragging her carelessly toward her friends, who lie unconsciously on the ground with their backs against the wall. The carbon chains cut into her skin, and the sharp pain rips Arya out of her state of panic. The crow kneels down next to her, bluntly touching her Ama muscle through her sweater.
Too bad we don't have more time, my little princess.
He murmurs with a lewd grin. The smell of his putrid breath makes Arya turn her face away. She sees her friends lying propped up against the wall as they begin to shake off the symptoms of the tranquilizer darts. Happy to see them alive, a glimmer of resilience grows inside her. The crow's brazen attack turns into an annoyance for invading her personal space.
Look at him.
The older crow laughs as he gets up. He snickers.
Like puppets on a string, right?
The younger crow replies,
Yup.
and grabs Raylan's arm, dragging him toward the others.
No, not that one.
His older brother stops him.
The landlady said he's the main act and is to be delivered intact and unspoiled.
And the others?
Dunno, seemed to be some kind of perk to that landlady. Their bounty is higher than their worth, actually.
The crow looks at Arya and gives her a salacious grin.
Oh, we could sell you, baby.
He breathes.
But then all the hustle with border crossing and all. You're sweet, but not that sweet.
He winks at her and listens into the night. Faint rotor noises are heard in the distance.
Sounds like they're coming now.
He nods and turns back to the prisoners. Raylan calls out to him.
We can triple the cash you get. Give us some time and you'll be rich beyond your imagination.
The older crow sadly shakes his head.
No, it's not worth the trouble, right?
He says,
Our client can pinch us bad if he wants to. Ever heard of Winslow Industries? You don't want to mess with them.
Then take me, but let the others go.
Raylan tries to bargain as panic strikes. Appealing to the crow's greed, he quickly continues.
You said it yourself. I'm the main act. Tell them they escaped. My friends are very rich. They'll set you up for life.
The chopping of copter rotors hammers louder through the cold, dry night air.
Listen,
Priss cuts in.
do you really think you'll survive this?
The crow frowns and fixes Priss.
Why?
He asks warily.
Why the high payout?
Priss asks back.
Why the VIP treatment? Crow, we're top secret bounty. They'll leave no witnesses. That means you and your brother.
The copter turbines echo back from the building walls while the crow hesitates, gazing over to his younger brother. Then he shrugs and grins at Priss,
Thanks for the warning, but
shielding his face against the rising dust. He points his thumb at the two copters swooping down to the cement factory. The crow raises his voice against the deafening landing noise.
it's too late now.
Bright searchlights flood the area as the copters descend. Before their landing skids touch the ground, the doors open. 8 leather-clad ATC agents leap out, rifles drawn. Two agents cover the rear while the rest spread out in a wide half circle around the car. Clouds of dust still whirl away from the copters as the turbines die off. The Crow brothers wait beside the car, casually carrying their hunting rifles at their side. A slender figure exits the copter and strides toward the group with swinging coattails. The agents follow, tightening the circle around the car. A long shadow reaches out toward Raylan as the Len walks toward him. Blinded by dust and bright lights, Raylan can only make out the outline of the figure, bathed in a corona of light. The Len's shadow finally covers Raylan's face and halts right in front of him.
I figured you'd be stupid enough to come here.
Cyphern sneers, quickly kneeling beside him. Her face features two fresh cuts that cross her left cheek. She angrily grabs his hair and pulls his head back.
You're a real pain in the ass. You know that?
She hisses in disgust. Then, her eyes glint as she feels the torment running through Raylan, seeing her in command. Satisfied, she closes her eyes, exhaling with a lustful sigh. She turns Raylan's head around to face his friends. Smiling viciously, she leans close to his ear.
Look at your friends.
She whispers.
They're all going to die.
She points at them in turn.
You're Len whores.
She spits,
Your old friend Everin. All gone.
gripping his hair tightly. She mimics a sad voice.
Ah, and even the innocent Arya.
She forces Raylan to look at Arya, who stares back defiantly at Cyphron. Pris leans forward and spits on the ground.
Hey, what about me?
Cyphron gives her an absent, disinterested look and turns back to Raylan.
But don't worry.
She smiles,
You'll join them soon in Holy Trinity.
feeding off Raylan's agony. Cyphron's body tenses and she starts to shiver slightly. Pris again disturbs Cyphron's tormenting pleasure.
Hey, bitch, don't you turn away from me.
She shouts at her.
You left me out. I'm his friend too, you know.
Cyphron looks at the older crow and motioning at Pris. She says,
Shut her up.
The crow quickly closes in and hits Pris over the head with the stock of his rifle.
No!
Arya cries out as Pris sinks to the ground unconscious. Satisfied, Cyphron turns back to Raylan. She hesitates for a moment as she senses anger growing in his eyes. She feels the time for precious torment is over, and she lets go of his hair.
Where were we?
Cyphron asks absently.
Ah, your death. Well, your dad says goodbye. I think.
She pauses, putting her finger on her lips in thought.
No.
She says.
No, now I recall. He didn't say anything.
Her eyes try to pierce Raylan, but he just stares back at her silently. Irritated at his resilience, she gets up and motions the agents to pick up the prisoners.
Load 'em up. This one goes in my copter.
She orders and kicks Raylan's boot. Glancing over to the two crow, she produces an aloof smile. She beckons the crow to follow her.
Let's get you your well-earned reward, shall we?
She says.
It's in my copter.
Meanwhile, Raylan, Arya, and Saren are carried to Cyphron's copter. The turbines start to hum as the pilot prepares for takeoff. Standing in front of the copter, Cyphron reaches for a heavy carbon fiber box and drops it on the ground.
There you go.
She nods at the box. Both crows greedily kneel to open their treasure. Stepping behind them, Cyphron relishes the moment as she slowly draws an automatic pistol. Both crow crouch over the box, relishing the feel of dozens of bags with gold dust. Holding her aim at the older crow, she waits for them to turn their faces to her, enjoying their last look at this world. Two loud shots ring out, and Arya has to watch as the dead crow brothers sink to the ground. Cyphron pushes the younger crow's body off the box, catching the look of horror in Arya's face. Giving her a sardonic smile, Cyphron purrs.
Oh, don't worry, princess. Your death will be spectacular.
What a crazy person.
You have not seen the half of me.